everyone! Welcome to the channel dedicated to sharing the profound insights and wisdom of Andromedan contactee Alex Collier. If you're new here, you're in for a journey that expands your mind and consciousness, bringing you closer to understanding the messages from the fifth density Andromedan Extraterrestrials. For those returning, we're grateful for your continued support. Before we dive into today's enlightening content, we have a small favor to ask. If you find value in the knowledge shared in this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us amplify Alex Collier's message, allowing us to reach a larger audience with these vital messages. We'd also love to hear from you, so please engage with the comments below. Whether it's a question, your thoughts, or even just an emoji for the sake of engagement, every comment counts. We read every single comment, and your feedback is incredibly valuable to us. Additionally, if you'd like to support us further, consider giving a super thanks tip by clicking the heart with the $sign. This small gesture allows us to continue bringing you more of Alex's messages, unfiltered and directly from his lifelong experiences with the Andromedans. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video.
Hi, everybody. I guess the introduction's done. I'm assuming that we're done, right? Anyway, that song is homework, if you so choose. And the name of the song is On the Inside by Michael Franks. Someone in my past introduced me to that song, and it's been with me ever since. And it's just a good reminder. You know, what's important about remembering that it's all on the inside is as we become more and more technical, and it appears that society wants to move more towards AI, which I personally think is not a good idea. What happens is we detach. We detach from our inner soul. It doesn't become the priority, and it's very easy to lose that essence, or to suppress that essence, or to leave it behind and allow it to calcify, for lack of a better word, by being all out here, chasing technology, chasing fame, chasing prosperity, money. Now, it's important to note that we are a very unique race, in the sense that we have this enormous extremes of emotions. And that is a strength, and it's a weakness, a double-edged sword. But as we continue to learn more about ourselves, learn more about our humanity, it's important to note that we can use that range of emotion for incredible good, because that emotion is extremely powerful. And it's interesting that there are many races that have come here, even the regressives. They've come here, they've tapped into it, they use it, not only against us, but also to create a world where they have been in charge, and they've led us down this road using our emotion, our passion, not only to suppress, but essentially to enslave. And at the same time, we have the benevolence who have come here recognizing this extreme of emotions, and also acknowledging the fact that their particular races, not only in third, but fourth, but even fifth, where they feel like they've lost some of that. And we can't lose the essence of that, because it is on the inside. It's soul. And we need to remember that we are soul, having a physical experience. And, you know, we've talked through many of the webinars about going into nature, being in silence, getting grounded, grounding our energy, and you know, connecting to all that is, to the source of all. You know, Creator, Holy Spirit, Great Spirit, God, generator of dimensions. It's important that we remember that's the essence of who we are, is connected to the source of all that is, which we are still learning about. And you know, even those on other dimensions are still exploring and learning about that essence, that source of all that is. And we should consciously every day make a note to remain connected to that, to not get drawn away from that into just the physical. Because there's a lot of people who aren't happy. A lot of people who are not happy, a lot of people who are disillusioned, disconnected, detached, and it's because they've lost that it's all on the inside. And I just think it's important to note, and I will do my best to continue to remind you of that, as I do myself every single day. And especially the men. You know, guys, a lot has been asked of us, and you know, we do. I truly believe that most of us are absolutely doing the very best we can to figure it out, to find that balance, to be strong, to be masculine, but at the same time to be compassionate, to have heart, to be open, to be vulnerable. And it's really, really tough, especially today with the media. The media is very, very tough on men. And I mean, you know, there are movements where we can't even use the word man in mankind, or the word human. They don't even want the word man used. It's just, I'm hoping someone can explain it to me, because I'm having a hard time thinking that this is just, you know, this is right. I mean, there has to be balance. And maybe that's all part of that pendulum that's supposed to be swinging from the masculine to the feminine. And we've talked about that, and I was warned that it would swing all the way, you know, to the feminine before it would swing back. And, you know, just like it did against the feminine. So it could be a tough road to hoe here for a while for us guys. You know, but we just have to be patient and, you know, reassuring, and, you know, be open to change and to adjusting, but at the same time be strong and not take abuse either. I don't know where all that's going to end up. I don't know the path all of this is taking, because we are all subject to such extreme of emotions. But what I do know and what I do understand is that our hearts have to remain open. They just have to remain open. And of course, that's the challenge, isn't it? That's the challenge for everyone, past, present, and future is for the heart to remain open so that we can hear the song of our own heart, of our own soul, and to honor that part of ourselves. Especially with, so much that's going on in the world. I mean, we are, if you're paying attention and you're not just watching CNN News, if you are taking in everything, we are seeing the world change before our very eyes. And it is changing very, very rapidly, very quickly. The frequency is changing, the resonance is changing of the planet, of people's consciousness. What's happening in science, in quantum physics, and astronomy is profound. There is so much happening so quickly that no sooner than they announce one discovery than there's 2 or 3 right behind it. And the knowledge, the information, we're not even having time to digest it because they're all stacking up on top of each other. But what's fascinating is that it's proving ancient wisdom. It's proving metaphysics. It's proving that everything is not only a holograph, but it's pure energy. Everything is just energy. And the solidity of the energy is a direct result of our own personal focus. That's extreme power. That is an enormous power. It's also an enormous responsibility. Now, I bring this up because we're going to talk about power today. And we have to remember that we, the people, and I'm talking about everyone globally, I am not talking about any specific country, I am talking about we, humanity. We are the source. We are the source of the physical world that we see and live around us. It is not the governments. It is not religion. It is our focus. It is our intention. And it is the energy that we project in creating what we see in front of us, that we see every day, that we experience every day. And that is why it is so important for some time every day, whether it's minutes, moments, whatever time that it is that you have, to always remember and ask yourself, what is it that I want? What do you want in your life? What is it that makes your heart sing? What is it that will make you happy? What brings you joy? And it's imperative to know this, because if you don't know it, you're not going to create it. You're going to be outside of yourself searching for this, and it isn't out there. You're never going to find it out there. And there's so many young people who don't get this. They simply don't get it. There are some that do, but a majority do not. And somehow we have to figure out how to let these kids know what it is. But we have to demonstrate it ourselves. We have to be an example of these truths. Otherwise, they're just going to look at us and go, yeah, right. Okay. And if you have kids, if you have teenagers, then you know, that's it. Yeah, right. So, okay. Current events. There's a lot going on in the world. I wanted to just share with you that much of the hype regarding nuclear war and it just is not going to happen, folks. It's just not going to happen. The energy that has been put into turning planet Earth around and our solar system around is not without peril. And this is just not how it's going to go down. This is the cabal. This is the dark reptilian groups. They're spinning their web of creating fear. This is what they've done for thousands of years. It's the only tool they have left in the arsenal. And they're going to continue to use it until the last one of them is done and is out of here. Please remember this, okay? It is spin. It is propaganda. It is fake news. It is mind control. If you don't buy into it, it isn't going to exist for you. It's that simple. You are the power. We are the power. We can change the world, and it is changing. But it isn't done. I mean, I hear so many people say, oh, it's done. It's all over. We won. It isn't over. Okay, the fat lady hasn't gotten up yet. She's still sitting in the first row. Okay? The work is still being done. Yeoman's work continues. And that means all of us continually to for whatever time you have every single day, to hold the light, to project what it is that you want, to get yourself grounded, okay? To find some peace within, some calmness, so that you can create and manifest what it is that you want and project love from that space of power, of calmness, of holiness, okay, that state of grace that you can project love to your family, your loved ones, to the planet, to everyone, okay? You have no idea how important that kind of frequency resonance work is. Okay, let's get into some of this stuff here. It is official that our solar system, which is at the end of the Orion spiral arm of our galaxy, is officially now the last regressive post that's being held by regressives. This is it. The other 21 star systems that were held by regressives are freed now. It's official. We're the last one. We're the caboose. Okay? It's important to know that. And I want you to know that. So there's a lot of energy, a lot of focus. There are groups, star families from third density, fourth density, and fifth density who are here assisting to make sure that this changes. And it is changing. But we have to acknowledge the effort, because we have other star families, star groups that are here. Who are away from their families, who are away from their star systems, who are out of their dimension here to assist us. It is imperative that we acknowledge that. Whether you believe it or not, whether you know it for a fact or not, it is important to acknowledge it, just like you acknowledge spirit, just like you acknowledge your guardian angels. It's important to acknowledge the fact that we have all of this assistance. There are some lecturers who are saying that our Starfleet that our particular Starfleet has been shut down. That simply isn't true. It just absolutely simply isn't true. They still maintain a perimeter. They are still working to make sure that we don't get hit by very large meteors. They are assisting when they are asked to, but at this point, the real experienced benevolent extraterrestrial groups who have dealt with some of these rogue nations, they are now front and center. Because if you were a prize fighter and you get down to the last couple of rounds of a prize fight, heavyweight fight, those are termed as the championship rounds. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we are. We are in the championship rounds. And we have some serious assistance. But you just don't turn off our space fleet. Okay? It just, logistically, they still need help. They are still being supplied. They are still holding a perimeter, which is what they were designed to do in the first place, as well as explore. But understand that what is in fact occurring regarding that is that there were enormous amounts of betrayal between those that were actually running the programs and the actual pilots and astronauts that were doing the work. And why would anybody be surprised by that? The creation of this Starfleet, space fleet, without the participation or the knowledge of humanity, to create a breakaway society is in itself an enormous betrayal against humanity. And again, I just want to say that the ultimate goal of this group, this regressive group, the Cabal, was to use this fleet essentially for their own protection and for their own wealth. Without the assistance of militaries around the world that are patriots, and I mean patriots for their own nations that took an oath to protect their people and their countries, without the assistance of benevolent extraterrestrial groups, ladies and gentlemen, we would be looking down the barrel of a 10 to 21. And if you don't know what that is, I suggest you look it up. I've talked about it for years. That's not going to happen. That ship, that course has been turned. But the things that are happening, the revelations that are coming, the information, the knowledge that has been suppressed from humanity is beginning to stack up on top of itself. And as this becomes common knowledge, humanity is going to be nothing short of blown away. Excuse me. Let's put the technology aside for a minute. technology that's 4, 5, 600, maybe even more years advanced than what we have been forced to live with here. Let's just put the technology aside. Let's talk about the healing modalities. Let's talk about our DNA, the historical precedents that our DNA holds about humanity and who we are. Let's talk about the idea of the spiritual essence of who we are. All of this is coming, and it's coming very, very quickly. Now, for those who cling to religions, you're going to be tested, and you're going to be tested in the sense that dogma is not reality. Dogma is not necessarily truth. And you're going to have to come to terms with that. And you're going to have to come to terms with the idea that there are some things that you're going to have to let go of, if you haven't already. And I know some of you on this call have, but there are going to be some profound revelations coming in the near months about all of this and about what humanity actually represents. It's amazing stuff. It's absolutely amazing stuff. Now, there is talk, there is chatter that our space fleet, the command of our space fleet, has moved away from the cabal and is looking to reintegrate with humanity. Now, there is a lot of chatter that Trump and other nations, this would include the Russians, are now trying to figure out how to make that work. On the 13th, in Miramar Naval Base in California, Trump talked about a space force. It wasn't an idle slip, ladies and gentlemen. He's talking about creating a space force. Well, that space force actually already exists. They're beginning to test the water to find out how to do something like this. What would be the reaction of the populace? Now, the trick here is, okay, you can reintegrate it, but ladies and gentlemen, the United States needs to be free, just as these other nations do, to be able to finance just such a program openly, with transparency. That cannot be done with the current financial system the world now is trapped by, the central bank system that is owned by the Rothschilds, and essentially 9 banks. That has to change. Now, I know that there are many of you who are talking about a global currency reset. The same predicament exists. There has to be a change in the currencies. Otherwise, we're stuck in the same slave system that has brought humanity to the point where none of us can afford to live on a planet we were born on. Okay, essentially that's it. We simply cannot afford to live on a planet we were born on. That just ain't right. So this is changing. This has to change. There are a lot of things that are going on that are almost out in the open. You're beginning to see some of these topics come up and talked about. It's really, really important to be paying attention to this information. You also know that there's an attack on the alternative media. This again is the cabal. They're doing everything they can to try to shut down this movement from the dark back to the light. And you know, unfortunately, the majority of it is corporate America that is now doing this. They are now on the front lines because the media isn't doing its job. They have been caught in so much deception and so many lies that their credibility is shot. So now they've moved things to another level. This is an indication that the battle isn't over yet. And it's important to know this and to pay attention to it. None of us can sit back on our laurels and say, okay, it's done, because it isn't. The work continues. And I know that you know, we all have families, we all have loved ones, we have people that we care about that we have to help and assist. Excuse me. We have distractions called life. But it's important to steal those moments during the day, whether it's a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes of meditation, and to find that state of grace and to give thanks and to bless everyone who's a participant in freeing humanity from this horrible, horrible nightmare that we've been living under and living in. And I truly believe with all my heart this is going to succeed. But the minute you say it's done, you know, people quit. They're like, okay, and we can't do that. We simply can't do that. There is so much work to be done. There is so much integration. We have an entire industry that is black. And what I mean by that is secret programs, space programs where incredible technology was created that is being used by men and women in space. Now that's an extraordinary thing in itself. The bravery of these people to go out into space, to test this technology, to risk their lives every single day, to explore, to battle, to protect, to depend on each other for, you know, to have their teams watch their back, their units, their COs, their logistics lines, to everybody have to do their part to make all this work. This is extraordinary work. An extraordinary accomplishment, which humanity has not been a part of at all. But we need to engage and demand that this be integrated with us, with humanity, with all of humanity, because the technology can be used here for enormous good. And we need to acknowledge the fact that this is real. This definitely is real. And then there's Antarctica, okay, which connects the future, which is this fleet, to the past, which is part of Atlantis, which is part of Lemuria, to the ancient cultures of Nibiru, the reptilian ancient cultures that were here, going back possibly millions of years. So what we have is we have the future just above our heads, which is real. We have the past, which has been buried under ice and in the basements of the Smithsonian and other places where all this knowledge has been suppressed. What's happening is that this information is beginning to line up and it's beginning to line up, and humanity is beginning to consciously realign itself with the past and the future into the present. It's going to be a lot of information to process, and it's going to happen relatively quickly. Now, I want to share some personal experiences with you. And I have two things that I'm going to share with you today. The first one is telepathy. My experience with Mornay and Theseus in using telepathy and how I experience telepathy. Now, I don't know if my experience with telepathy is exactly the same as other contactees. I don't know. All I can do is share with you my experience and what it is, how it works, what it's done for me, and how I use it today. And I use it with my cats, Shakespeare and Zen. Okay? And it works pretty good, actually. Works pretty good. But here's my experience. My experience with Theseus and Mornay is that when they talk to me telepathically, whether they're with me or not, it enters the back of my head here, and it comes forward like this to my third eye. Now, what happens is I see them. When they focus on me and talk to me, it comes in here, it comes to the front to my third eye, and I see them. I see them standing in front of me. Now, what's also interesting is that there's a resonance, and each one of them has their own separate resonance. So there's no mistaking one for the other. And there is no mistaking someone trying to interfere or send me to use telepathy to get me to do something to trick me. You cannot mistake the resonance. The resonance is their soul frequency. I need you to understand that. And when these things begin to happen for you, you will know the resonance. As a kid, I was afraid to be tricked. So I asked for a specific song. I've outgrown the song, thank God. But that was just my way of knowing. It was reassuring to me as a kid that when I heard the song, I knew who it was. Well, now I understand the resonance, and I absolutely know the resonance, the frequency. In the very beginning, when this first started with me, when I was just a kid, and I've kind of talked a little bit about this years ago, I would be focused on their picture in my third eye, their vision, their projection of themselves, so I would know. And if I wasn't with them, it's easy to focus on the vision of them in front of me because it's in my third eye. But sometimes they were standing right next to me, and I wasn't paying attention to them standing. Then next to me, I was focused on what I was seeing in my head with my third eye. And the focus was so intense on that sometimes I wouldn't hear what they were actually saying. And I've talked about how sometimes Theseus got frustrated with me because of that. Mornay understood that part, and he made a decision to learn how to speak, to use his vocal cords. And I think part of that was, he wanted to learn, he wanted to know, he wanted the experience of projecting sound. But it also helped me out tremendously as well. Theseus never went there, and he wasn't going to go there. Now, the resonance is incredibly unique, and it's unique to each soul. And when I was in their presence, I should say, when I'm in the presence of Mornay, I feel his resonance. It comes through. I feel it in my body. It's unmistakable. It was the same thing with Visayas, but Visayas is no longer in physicality. So that part's just a memory. But it was the same with him. And they had very, very unique frequencies. It's the same with you. Somebody walks into a room, you feel their frequency. Whether it's positive or not, you know what I'm talking about. It is no different with extraterrestrials. If they don't have a frequency, then what you're probably dealing with is a clone that has a microprocessor in its brain. Okay, it's like and what I'm referring to is an organic computer, a processor. They don't have an aura. Okay, the aura is their resonance, their frequency. So, heads up on that. What's interesting about that is that when I tune into the harmonic, when I tune into the resonance of Visayas, as much as I can remember it, the memories of everything that I experienced with him, I have access to. And it's the same with Mornay. Now, I've shared with you about Mornay's ship, the resonance, the sound that his ship makes. Now, it's organic. It's actually a living thing. And I've shared with you the song Structures in Silence. That is the closest thing that I have ever been able to find on Earth to this point in my life that is close to the resonance of his craft. It breathes, it moves, it shares, it integrates, it's in relationship. It's not just metal. It becomes an extension of the people inside of it, and the people inside of it become an extension of the craft. That's important to note. And it is the same thing in your life. Some people like to use the term, your car is your body. It becomes an extension of you in many ways. Your animals become an extension of you. Your children become an extension of you. And that's because they are all living. They have a resonance, a frequency, where we all merge and meld together and become extensions of each other. That is the same thing with humanity. We are all extensions of each other. And I've said this, if I've said this once, I've said it 100 times. The A's, the P's, those from Cygnus, from Sirius, yada, 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 all the star nations, they see us as one race, ladies and gentlemen, as one race, one humanity. They see the resonance, they see the soul inhabiting each body. They don't see the color of one's skin. Okay? What was it that Martin Luther King once said? Let us judge people by the context of their character and not the color of their skin. Profound wisdom. The content of their character and not the color of their skin. We so have to get over this shit. And we so have to stop letting political parties manipulate us into race wars. This is lunacy. And it still goes on and on and on. Here in America, it's horrible. what's going on with this nonsense. And it's one particular political party that continues to do this nonsense because they're clinging to power. And it's the same political party that never wanted to give the women the right to vote, that in 1921 was going to run the Ku Klux Klan as its presidential candidate, that never wanted to give blacks the right to vote, never wanted to make them citizens, threatened to destroy the United States as a union because they wanted to continue slavery. You can figure the rest of it out. The hypocrisy is just has no bounds. Okay, we have got to move past this. We do. There is so much coming, and we have to focus on the future and creating, taking ourselves in the present and moving into something that's holistic for everyone. Okay, we have to do this now. Excuse me. It is time to let go of all this stuff that doesn't work for us. The paradigm shifts, they're stunning, and many of us are already going through it. I also wanted to share with you an experience about extraterrestrial weaponry. Now, the A's have technology, and it is not used ever to create death. There is no fatalities. Now, they have accidents where something will happen and they will lose some of their own people. But they themselves don't go out like soldiers do in our world and kill. What they have is a type of weaponry. And in our language here on Earth, at least in the English language, it is called a time slot. I've never spoken about this before. And it is some kind of a rod, and they call it a time slot. Well, they don't, but that's what we would call it, as a time slot. And what it does, it takes any physical form, and when you hit it, it appears to disintegrate. But what they do is I'll give you an example. A regressive Nordic was doing something he wasn't supposed to do. And he way crossed the line, crossed the boundary. He was hit with 2 of these weapons, these time slots. And he disintegrated. He wasn't fatally destroyed or anything like that, but what this time slot did was it projected him to a place in the past. So it's like a time travel gun. They just remove them from the equation and put them somewhere in another time where they have to deal with where they are. When I asked if this was fatal, Mornay said no, but it's very, very painful. Okay? And he said it with a smile, that it's very painful. But they're not gone. But now they're somewhere else. And now they got to figure out, now they got to explain where they are and how they got there to someone else. So that's what they do. And I understand that they can pretty much do this anytime, anywhere, to anyone. They don't. They only do it with real probable cause. But that's as militaristic as I've ever seen anything like that happen. And it's pretty amazing, frankly. It was pretty amazing, and it happens just like that. And then they're somewhere else. Now, I also wanted to share with you the time that I spent with them and the children on the mothership. I had a quarters. They gave me my quarters. And they set it up in such a way that I would feel comfortable. Now, what's interesting about the quarters is I could make it was attuned to my consciousness. Whatever it was that I wanted it to be, it would become. And I made it big, I made it small, I made it rain, I made it snow, I put trees in it, I put gardens, water fountains. It was constantly changing. And Mornay eventually came in and limited my ability to change it, because apparently it was creating a distraction. He never did actually explain what the distraction was, but I could totally understand it, because I made it football fields in size, because I was enthralled with the ability to do this, and I just let my imagination go. So as it was limited, and particularly the space was limited. But that was fine. That was fine. It all worked. Food was presented. I was able to decide what it was I wanted. There was never any flesh. It was vegetables, beans, rice, lots of fruit. Those type of things were available to eat, and I made it work. Music, sound. If you remember, and I talked about this with my experience with the kids, I had a cassette player, and I could play the music inside my quarters, and it would just kind of loop. But that's all it was, and eventually I got tired of it, hearing the same thing over and over and over again. And then, of course, there was the smell that I've talked about, and I can't explain it. It was a sweet smell that was completely unique. When I pointed it out to them, they didn't know what I was talking about, and it's maybe because they were just so used to it. Because they live in it every day, they experience it every day, where it was new to me. But it was something quite remarkable, and I'll never forget it. The other thing I wanted to share with you was that I could drink the water. I could drink the water that was there, available to them and to me. The air we breathed was the same, regardless of the fact that they're on fifth dimension, fifth density. The air was the same, the water was the same. I think it's important to note that. So we share that. We share the same, in many respects, some of the same DNA, the lineage of the human race, with Lyran ancestors. a love of music, an appreciation of laughter, of wanting to experience joy. We have these things in common with other races, star nations. We're not as different as we might think. And I think it's important to note that we have these things in common with races in fourth density and fifth density. It may even be true of sixth. I don't know that part. Understand that humanity is not just limited to Earth. Humanity isn't even limited to our galaxy. Humanity is a family. Wherever it is, it's a family. And we need to think about that. We need to understand that we have cousins, we have kin somewhere that not only can they relate to us, but we can relate to them. Now, I've shared this because something's come up. If you can remember early in the notes, in the early 90s, there was a meeting of the Andromedan Council where there were discussions whether or not to get involved with our solar system to assist us. And there was a division of groups. There was a conversation where there were some star nations that didn't want to get involved. And it was primarily because they didn't think that we had enough value of ourselves to waste their time. And then there was another side that decided that they did want to help because they understood that we had never been really truly given an opportunity to discover ourselves, to truly know who we were without being manipulated. And if you remember those arguments, they don't respect themselves, they don't respect each other, and they don't respect their planet. What is their value? Well, a conversation has occurred. Now, mind you, they're out there doing what they're doing to assist us. In fact, those that are here on the surface and in the oceans, they are now currently, as we speak, putting together a plan, excuse me, to begin the cleanup of the radiation in the Pacific Ocean, Fukushima. Okay, to begin the process of negating all of that horrible poisons that is not only in the water but in the air. That's being discussed as we speak. That program may have already begun. Okay, I don't know. But as of a week ago, they were talking about how to go about doing this. Now, they're watching the behavior of us citizens, of humanity on the surface of the planet. And the question came up, do we actually value freedom? Now, I have brought this up in webinars. You know, do we even know how to truly be free, to live free? They're watching our behavior as they're getting to know us. And they are watching students protesting against free speech. They are watching generations wanting to live in socialism and communism. They are watching generations of bigotry based on religions that aren't real, that are absolutely false dogma. So the question has come up, do we actually value freedom? Ladies and gentlemen, to the 100 of you who are watching this, and I know it's small, but this is the audience, you know. You guys are all I have to talk to. Do we actually value the freedom? Can we actually take responsibility for the freedom that they are trying to give us? If you look back at what the founding fathers did of this country and the revolution that occurred in India with Gandhi and in other places around the world and in history where these type of battles went on that are lost to the mists of time regarding freedom, do we truly value freedom? Are we willing to protect it no matter what? We're back to those questions again, to that consequential question regarding freedom. Can we be free? Can we be responsible with freedom? What will we do to be free? Can we and will we accept all responsibility regarding freedom? I think it's interesting that the question has come back up because maybe they see something we don't. Maybe they're getting to the point now where they're about to eradicate the last stronghold of these sons of bitches that have enslaved humanity for their own purposes, both alien and human. And they're wondering, will we grasp this opportunity? It could be that for some reason they now have a doubt. And that bothers me. That really bothers me, that they would put so much into this and so many people here on the planet doing the work, the soldiers, regardless of the nation, protecting their citizens. All the lives lost to protect liberty. You know, are we going to throw this away after everything that's been done? Will we throw this away? Will we not grasp this opportunity because we don't see how important it is? The discoveries in Antarctica, the reintegration of our space fleet, humanity is going to change. The vision of who we were is going to be changing to who we are. And then from there, it's going to change what we can truly become. And that's going to be an evolving process. But all of it revolves around the idea of, do you want to be free? Will you remain free? Will you protect your freedoms? It's huge. It's a huge, huge question. And whatever that word truly means, whatever responsibilities truly come with all of that, will we step into our sovereignty? Will we step into our personal power? And will we take that on? Will we embrace freedom? Because it's right in front of us, folks. It is literally right in front of us. And we have to be open to exploring what all of that means. And it's come up. It's come up. And it's come up for a reason. Before we go to questions, understand that all of the political discord that we see today, all of this energy, all of these events were planned years ago. And there was movement behind it. There was energy behind these movements. Well, the energy behind those movements is now being neutered. You understand? It's being neutered because now they're on their own. They're now in their own survival. So they don't have the energy to keep pushing these series of movements to create discord on the planet. And what's going to happen here very shortly is the energy behind the movements we now see on the planet is going to be gone. There is going to be nothing to support it. And the movements, this movement of negative energy, of fear-mongering, etc., is going to just collapse. It's going to go away, and it could happen overnight. Because there's no negative force supporting it any longer. But it's still playing itself out. Understand that. These beings they think holographically, and they put things in motion years in advance. Now, before we go to questions, I want to say this to you. Don't ever, ever, ever postpone a chance for joy in your life. Don't ever do it. Don't ever make the decision to put it off. You have to do it now because joy empowers you. It makes you whole. It inspires the soul to want to be more, to expand. And joy is infectious. It explodes and resonates to everyone in your space. Don't ever, ever, ever postpone a chance for joy. You go after it greedily, mightily. You insist on it. Okay. Okay, we got some time for some questions, JP.
Alex.
Hey.
You got me.
Oh.
Okay. So, well, here's the first question is from Lauren. And the question is, what is your opinion? Good old Lauren.
Yes.
What is maybe young one. What is your opinion on Trump wanting a global space force? Will this be our introduction to the secret space program?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's already there. He just has to figure out, or the military has to figure out, how do we integrate it? You know, they want to share it. They want to bring it down. They want the technology to be used. But you got to understand, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trillions of dollars have gone into creating this program. And it was all done behind humanity's back. And the story, the story behind it, somehow has to be presented to humanity in a way that's going to be palatable to everyone. Because, most of America has paid for this. Our future was hot to do this. They intended to leave, to break away. That was the original intention of the creators of these programs. And a lot of things happened. A lot of things have happened. Now they have to reintegrate with humanity. I believe that the programs want to integrate with humanity. As I have shared with you in previous webinars, when they were out there talking to other benevolent races, the question has come up and did come up, why would we trust you to scoot around the galaxy when you completely betrayed your own race? That is not how this is done, ever. And apparently that's sunk in. Some people got that. And here we are. And now we have all this benevolent help, which has been moving in the circle. Nothing's hidden anymore. All the secrets are coming out. And the foundation of what this is all about comes down to one thing. It comes down to what is your value? Do you value yourselves? Do you value your race? Do you value your planet? Okay, the original argument for not wanting to help us, it's all come down to that. It's like it's come full circle, exactly come full circle. Not only do we have to ask it, not only do the governments have to ask it, but the space fleet has to ask that. And that's what it's come down to. And the answer is yes. We do value ourselves. We do value humanity. And we damn sure have to value our home, because it is our home. And they're not going to be allowed to go out and do whatever the hell they want, wherever they want, by betraying their own race. No one will ever trust them. So yes, the fleet's going to be integrated. I don't know how long it's going to take. There are going to be several trial balloons. What this clearly will show when this begins to roll out is that NASA's been nothing but a sham. Okay, it's been a propaganda tool. The astronauts that were involved, we had all this technology, and we took these guys and we put them on the biggest Roman candles in the world and shot them into space. Okay, there are people that will need to answer for that, but nonetheless, these astronauts that did this are some of the bravest souls on the planet. Whether it's Russia, India, China, Japan, all of them have done this, knowing that this technology was out there. It's time to end all these different charades. It really is. And to bring it all in line where humanity has a vision, where we all have a vision, okay, for humanity. Are we going to embrace freedom? Because that's what all of this is going to bring. All of this knowledge, all of this wisdom is going to bring freedom. We have to embrace it. We have to be responsible for it. Are we going to go there? And I understand worrying about the generations that we have behind us, the millennials and the Gen X's, they've been brainwashed into this old system of slavery, debt slavery. We've got to flip the switch on these guys, folks, because they're the future of humanity. We're going to have to flip the switch on them and say, look, all of that crap's been a lie. We've all been deceived. It's all going to have to come out, but there has to be a new vision. We cannot spiral into constant wars. It's an absolute waste of time. Okay, we need a new vision. And that new vision does involve the discoveries in Antarctica, and it does clearly involve the space fleet and the things that they've discovered and the technology that they have that would benefit all of humanity. I don't know if I answered the question or not. I'm not quite myself today. Lauren, it was a good question, but yes, it has to happen. It has to happen. There is no way around it. With the cabal being taken down, with the fiat currencies going away, with the new currency global reset, when that happens, hopefully it's soon. When that happens, it's an absolute new beginning for not every citizen of every country, but for every country and for humanity as a whole. It's a reset. Okay, all debts are gone. We start over. Why would we create the same mistakes of the past? Nobody wants to do that. That's why these things are coming together. Okay, it's not an accident. There is incredible movement and benevolent intent behind all of these movements to realign these things to give humanity a new direction. A direction it should have been going into 400 years ago. Okay? We should have been where we're going 400 years ago. And now everybody's got to catch up. Everybody's got to be brought up to speed. And everybody has to understand the control and manipulation that we've all been under. And we have to clean up our act. And we have to go back to the inside. Who are we on the inside? We have to go back to that. And the focus has to be back to that. Who are we on the inside? Okay, next question.
Thank you. From Penny Newman. If we are the backwards farm planet for the Anunnaki, and they come calling around 3,600 years to collect product, what happens to this relationship when the Earth goes to fifth density?
Well, obviously that relationship changes. Obviously, at that point, we're not a farm system. We're a major league team. Okay? We're no longer a farm system. We're a major league team. But we have a lot of growth to go through. Humanity has, Terrans have a lot of growth to go through before all of those things come to fruition. And, you know, I think humanity is clever. I think that our intense desire to live is going to see the day. Our extremes of emotions are so unique that I think once we truly understand what that is and what that means and how we can use that to empower ourselves in a very benevolent, positive way. I think we go from being a farm team to being very close to the front of the line. I don't think it's going to take millions of years to get there. I don't believe that at all. Remember, a lot of energy is being invested in us. It isn't just about the regressives, although that was the initial reason for many of these races coming here. But you know, they're talking about mentoring. Look at the time and the resources and the energy that they have put into Project Earth. they clearly see value. We're the ones who aren't up to speed with everything that's going on. And this is all really about us. This isn't about the extraterrestrials, the benevolence. And it's not even about the regressives. This is really all about us now, who we are, and stepping into our power and realizing our identity. You know, putting Patal aside, who are we as a physical humanity, as a race? All those things do in fact matter. Okay.
From Nancy Lalonde, Alison Coe's latest videos of her QHHT clients. Now, do you know about the quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT?
No, I don't know who she...
Dolores Cannon style. It's what she taught.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a lady called Alison Coe who's been doing that, and she's been talking about the event. So during this, some of her clients talk about getting on ships during this event. And Nancy says, I think we've always been told not to get on the ships. What's your opinion? Has it changed at all? You know, do we get on the ships now? Are they okay?
That is a really good question. That is a really good question. Depending upon how I felt, I would be inclined to get on the ship at this point. Because no one's going to kidnap you. No one's going to take you away. That part of that part of our old scenario is over with. But at the same time, there's so many people that I get emails from who, you know, when they go to sleep at night, their soul, their dreaming body travels to ships, and they're in classes, and they're being educated, and they're being shown history, and they're being taught specific healing arts and astrological and astronomical knowledge, energy techniques. I mean, it's limitless as to what people are being taught. I haven't gotten a negative in quite some time, frankly, about somebody being taken up and tortured and stuff. It's been a while. Nor at this point, you're usually being taken underground and done that. But I think that if that's happening at all, it's very, very small. And over the next weeks, months, that will cease to exist, if it's even happening today. Again, Penny, it's about the inside. Are you compelled to go? Is your inner guidance, your intuition, your soul saying, hey, I want to do this. This feels right. And that's an individual's decision to make. If it feels right, then you go. You know, hell, your soul, my soul is a hell of a lot wiser than our conscious mind most of the time. Okay, because our soul is already out of time. Its existence is multiple dimensions already. It has access to knowledge we don't have. I would trust that. I would trust that. So it's an individual decision for everyone to make. I myself would be inclined to go. And I know that's probably not fair because I do go. But the experiences are extraordinary. You're not the same when you've had those and you come back and you build relationships. You're not the same. Your world has expanded beyond measure after having some of those experiences. And then you know. And then you know what you know. And no matter what anybody tells you, you can just say, yeah, right. Because you've experienced it. And you see people that you might recognize at conferences as having been there with you. It's interesting. It's a very interesting experience. Okay, I think we have 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, well, here's 2 questions that go very similar. They're very connected, and there's one after the other. So, Jacqueline Grasso is asking, how do the sexes get along and function together in 5D? And Michael Hartwell is saying, do the Andromedans marry for life, and what can we learn about marriage from them?
Some marry, some don't. In regards to the sexes, how do they get along? My experience in watching that is in fact limited. I would assume that they get along well, at least I was shown probably the best side of that. I think as long as there is mutual respect on either side, they get along quite well. I've shared with you my experience regarding the woman that I undressed in my head, and how quickly that boomeranged back on me. And that's because I wasn't respecting her. I forgot that they were telepathic. I forgot. I forgot. So I think up there, like down here, we have to mind our P's and Q's. Okay, that's what I think. And as we mature, what's the old cowboy saying? When you get too old to be a bad example, wisdom shows up. Okay? I think that's true. I think I can vouch for that. I think that's really true. When you get old enough to no longer be a bad example, wisdom shows up. So there you go. We have time for one more question.
Okay, this is from Freddie Carroll. I like this one. Hi, Alex, JP, and James. If you are still in the physical body, Alex, when the benevolents introduce themselves, do you look forward to introducing Morane to people like JP and James and others? And JP, is there any plans for another ultra-galactic roundtable event in the near future? Would you like to join another roundtable, Alex?
Yeah, I enjoyed those. I thought they were very beneficial. Ultimately, what I'd like to do is have a conference where we get as many contactees as we can, and researchers, specific researchers, and maybe have this conference at a specific location where we have this huge room and chalkboards surrounding the room, or whiteboards, and we all write down the things that were most significant that we learned from each of the groups, and start to compare notes, and maybe have someone like Michael Sala or someone else head this, where we get a real consensus of all the races that are here, and share that information openly with humanity. I think something like that would be very, very beneficial. And if I had the money to do something like that, we would have already done it. Because what it does is it puts us all on the same page, and now we are showing a joint front of putting the information out there for everyone, as opposed to so many people attack each other, and it's just bullshit. I can't believe this crap still goes on. We need to be on the same page, and we need to at least support each other, because this ain't easy. Being on the point, back, when it was David Icke and myself and Val Valerian and, God, I don't even remember who else was speaking then. Carla Rickert, I think her name was. It was hard. back in the 90s, we got the shit kicked out of us. You know, we were called everything in the book. And it was tough. And, you know, these new kids coming out, they don't have the benefit of all of that. And, you know, we have others who are doing it who are just marketeers. They just know how to market themselves and make themselves look more important than they really are. I think it would be very beneficial to bring everyone together in one place for 3 or 4 days where we just lay it all out on the line for everybody and we compare notes, you know, instead of what we're doing. It's taking too long, in my opinion. Guys, this hour and a half goes by so fast, at least most of the time. And thank you for those of you who have given me your time today and who continue to support the work. I love you guys. I don't know what I'd do without you at this point. I don't. I'm so grateful to all of you. And again, never, ever, ever postpone the chance for joy. Don't put it off. If it presents itself, you go for it. Okay? No matter what, you go for it. I love you. JP, James, thank you once again for doing this and for all your work and the efforts you go to hold it together. James, you're the glue. Guys, thank you so much. I have to go. I got it. I gotta go.
Good night, Alex. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it insightful, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. If you have any questions relating to today's video, please also leave them below. We read all the comments and take on board what our viewers have to say about Alex Collier's work. Remember, your support helps Alex Collier's knowledge and the messages from the Andromedans reach more people. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can give us a super thanks tip by clicking the heart icon with a $sign. It really helps our team bring you more content. Also, be sure to visit alexcollier.org to sign up for our regular email newsletter. It's the best way to stay updated with the latest news, exclusive content, and upcoming live webinars. For the latest insights from Alex Collier, check out alexcollier.live. And if you want to explore over 250 past webinars, head over to alexcollier.tv. Thank you for being a part of this journey and supporting Alex Collier's work. We couldn't do this without you, and we're genuinely grateful for your support. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the vast mysteries of our universe. If you would like to see the Andromedan contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we hold a live online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information on upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org.